Ladies and gentlemen, we're back to an exciting episode of Behind the Banter. You might notice something a little peculiar, a little strange, perhaps even a little odd. And it's just me. I'm solo. I miss you. Mr. JVD decided he wants to go to an Iowa State game instead of run a cast. How dare he? Now he's sitting there in the tailgate lot. He's doing tailgate things. Well, another thing we'd like to address, because I know there's so many of you wondering what happened last week. Why wasn't there an episode? Well, let me answer. Mr. JVD had some things going on in the background. When I was in work, I got fucking bent and I totaled my car, so my body was very, very sore, so I decided to take the weekend off. But full recovery, we're good. By the grace of God, somehow okay. Without further ado, this is episode 16 of Behind the Banter, and I will do my best to give you guys a solo episode. And, if that doesn't work out, my backup plan is this, because I'm sure as many of you know many of you who do know me, I get quite yappy when I hit one of these. So that's kind of my little mutant injection at the end for all of those Call of Duty Black Ops 6 players. Fantastic game. Enjoying it myself. The first thing I want to talk about tonight, because I have a lot to say, because I'm sure you might have some premonition as to what I'm going to say, and that is about the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. What the fuck was that? That was honestly one of the worst events I've ever seen. Just put aside the whole fighting aspect of it for now, just how it's ran. You put so much money into advertising to get this going. You have a little TV show to kind of hype it up for Paul and Tyson. And first and foremost, the issue I kept running into, and I thought maybe it was me at first, and then a friend said they had this issue, and other people did. I saw it all over social media. They couldn't handle the amount of people watching. So half the fight, which I only tuned in for the Paul Tyson fight, because I could give a shit about everyone else, it just buffered the whole time. And not only did it buffer, it was like watching it being recorded on a potato. It was so dumb. It was grainy. Fucking built like a little piece of rice. Multiple, many, a lot of them. And, sure, maybe that's something you could look past, but I'm not done. Because those announcers were horrible. Horrible. And then Roy Jones is on the side, and he was not bad. I'll give him that. He wasn't bad. He seemed to be pretty interesting. He knew what he was doing. He knows fighting. And the one guy, whatever his name is, said something about, I heard it about 6 different times, where Roy Jones is yeah, that's kind of what happens with fighting, and they're going back and forth, questioning each other on the knowledge. Terrible announcing team. Netflix needs to do better. I don't even remember. It was a guy, a girl, and Roy Jones. That guy, awful, saying some of the dumbest shit. That girl, terrible. Who are these people? Where do you get them from? You have all these millions of dollars into things, and you can't get someone, who's maybe a little bit better at announcing this? It perplexes me. It makes no sense. It really does. And, the fight. I went to bed sad after that. Mike Tyson was clearly 58 years old. And that hurts because he's one of the greatest fighters of all time. And, not even that. He's just one of the greatest personalities in the whole entire sports world. Every time you hear him talk on a podcast, whether it's a clip or whatever, that guy he's had so much growth over these years. And not only that, I understand why he wanted to do it. He probably got a disgusting amount of money that some people never even see in their entire lives. And he knew that was going to go to his family. He was going to live off it forever. I get it. But, my problem kind of comes into the fact of, Jake Paul. Why do you want to fight Mike Tyson? And then, it's just after the fight, you could tell, Jake Paul was holding back. Because he clearly was okay, I'm fighting a 58-year-old. This guy isn't Mike Tyson anymore. And he's holding back. There clearly were a few times, there could have been knockouts. And he held back at the end, bowed to him. I think he understood kind of what happened. I thought it was just an embarrassing event. I don't know why it happened. I really don't. I mean, that guy, like, I get trying to be like a boxer. He lost to the one pro he fought that was his age, Tommy Fury, and then he kind of gave like a half-ass scared response to Canelo. He's like, Canelo needs me. Like, does he? Does he? Does he need you? I just, like, good for them being able to put this event together and do this and, you know, be able to get all this money, all these people, all this viewership. There's a lot of people watching. I'm sure of it. Everyone was talking about it. I just can't get past the fact that they really paraded a 58-year-old Mike Tyson out there. And I have all the respect in the world for Mike Tyson. I don't have anything negative to say about that guy. But what really bothered me, too, was that one announcer, that one dude, he just kept saying negative things about Mike Tyson. He's like, oh, clearly it's a 58-year-old. Like, what is this? This is a slaughter. All Jake Paul needs to do is circle. Like, he was just ripping on him the whole time. Like, who is that guy? I hope Mike Tyson bites his ear off. Like, this whole event was just, it was just something else. I mean, regardless of the quality, if it buffered or not, or it was perfect, crystal clear, grainy, whatever, that fight was just still terrible. I don't understand. It was just, I didn't realize how much older Mike Tyson was until I saw him walk out and they zoomed in on his face, and I'm like, holy shit, that's a 58-year-old. Like, that's a grown-ass, like, that guy's got grandkids, like, and he's fighting a 27-year-old. It's just, who lets this stuff happen? Like I said, I get the pursuit. Fight someone, I don't even want to say that because that's so disrespectful to Mike Tyson. Because Mike Tyson's one of the best pound-for-pound fighters of all time. Just a bulldog, menace, awesome. Love the guy. But you gotta fight someone that's gonna be able to challenge you in the now in their prime. But like prime Mike Tyson would have murdered him. But you gotta fight someone who's in their prime. I just simply don't understand that. That event, it's just garbage. You had all this time. You knew what was gonna happen. You need to prepare the servers. That was just fucking A. Well, that was in fact pretty tough. Some other things I wanted to talk about too. A lot of stuff about the Dallas Cowboys. And as I said, I didn't watch anything about the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight before the headliner, which was obviously them two. And JVD, Mr. Empty Seat over here, he texted me and he said, Jerry Jones is doing some commentating. And that kind of just pissed me off. Because that guy's more worried about hosting events in his stadium, doing all this and that, getting involved in there, trying to like show face like he isn't the worst owner in all of sports right now. I mean, I don't even want to call him the worst owner. He's a terrible owner. Because I know Jerry Reinsdorf exists. I know there's other poverty franchises. At least the Cowboys have notoriety. You know what I mean? So their name kind of sticks with them. So no matter what they do or where they go, they're always in the front of the headlines. But my problem with Jerry Jones is a reporter asked Ceedee Lamb why he didn't catch that ball, and he said the sun was in his eyes. Didn't complain, didn't say much after. Then he's like, you know, do you wish that there was curtains covering it? And he's like, yeah, I do. And then Jerry Jones, little retard ass, has to hop in and be like, oh, like, you want me to take the whole stadium down and then build a new one? In what world did Ceedee Lamb say that to you? He didn't say that. He just said he doesn't like the sun in his eyes. And he's talking about competitive advantage like it didn't just cost your team a touchdown. It's a crutch to both teams. Like, what are you talking about, Jerry Jones? This is the stuff I'm sick and tired of. That guy just talks. It's like Joe Biden out there, man. It's like, oh, we're all in. And then he proceeds to avoid Derrick Henry at a very friendly bargain, glaring holes in the roster because he doesn't want to spend any money. What, the best free agent I think I was Eric Kendricks? And I mean, he's pretty good. I don't even want to hate that one. But like, you need to do more. And then he's more worried about calling out his receiver who he just paid because he said he doesn't like the sun in his eyes. Like, what are you talking about? And then Dak's hurt, and it's just a whole thing. And then there's so many glaring issues. Mike McCarthy's a fat piece of shit, and I'm just sick and tired of it. I'm just sick and tired of it. Like, why is it a thing year in and year out where I gotta deal with the same thing with the Dallas Cowboys? And then everyone's like, oh, it's our year. And then they make fun of it. It's like, dude, Jerry Jones and his yes men. And then now I'm hearing a rumor where Deion Sanders might be the coach of the Cowboys next year. Do I know if there's any truth to that or not? No, not really. But I mean, I guess it makes sense. You know, one of the all-time Cowboys, good relationship with Jerry Jones. And I think that would be a great hire. I'd be happy if Deion Sanders was there. Because not only is he one of my favorite athletes of all time, he's an awesome coach, awesome player, awesome person, just all-around great guy, and you could tell he inspires the people around him. I think that would be a good fit for the Cowboys. But I mean, the question that comes in mind is, does he bring Shador with him? Does he try to bring Travis Hunter with him? Like, what's his end goal here when it comes to, like, those players or his sons? Because I know there's Shiloh, Travis, Shador, like, what goes on? So it's interesting to see what happened. I'm sure he's in the rumor mill for a lot of different teams, a lot of different organizations picking him up, adding him onto the staff. So it should be interesting to see what happens. But Deion Sanders' dog, he'd probably fix Mike McCarthy's issue of too many penalties and just no discipline. So that I think that would be pretty cool if that would happen. Do I think it'll happen? I really don't know, just because Jerry Jones he just needs a yes guy. So that's something I guess we'll see as time goes on. That'd be nice. I would like that for sure. That leads us to our next point. I wanted to talk about the Heisman race. Because I saw a lot of rhetoric where people are calling Travis Hunter mid at each position, and that is just the craziest shit I've ever heard. Do I think he should be number one for the Heisman? No. Do I think he's number two? Absolutely. But to call Travis Hunter mid and like a below average receiver, like he's not second in what is that? He's like second in touchdowns, like 12th in receiving yards. It was something pretty good. That's all right, yeah. But the fact that you're going to be able to make these plays on defense as a lockdown corner, doing it both ways, that is just value that you don't see. And I saw a pretty interesting statistic. There was 4 times ever since about 1978 that a player had 5 or more reception touchdowns and 3 or more interceptions. Travis Hunter had 2 of those seasons. One of the other players was Champ Bailey, and the other guy was some guy I've never even heard of. So, I mean, what Travis Hunter's doing, I don't really think it could be discounted. I think a guy like that, based off his versatility, you know, he could easily go number 1 in the NFL, just on the fact that he could play both ways. Will Travis Hunter play both ways? I'm not really quite sure about that. I feel like when it comes to something where everyone's at the most elite levels, you might have him focus in on being just a receiver or a cornerback. But my thing is, I think that guy will excel no matter what he chooses to do. That guy is so talented. He's so athletic. He can easily put on size when he goes to the league and he gets one of those team training programs, lifting, everything. But Travis Hunter should easily be the number 1 pick. And the reason I don't have him as the number 1 option for the Heisman, today, before I even get into that, Colorado won 49-24 against Utah. They're now 8-2. Awesome. Hunter had 55 reception yards on 5 catches. And then I believe he had a rushing touchdown too. And not only that, he had a deflected pick. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. Like, having a touchdown on offense and a pick, I just think that's one of those things that he's such a cool player. Like, that's not something you see often. So you really got to appreciate it while you have it. That's like when you see Ohtani going to pitch and hit. I'm not saying they're, like, anything similar, just the concept of 2 ways. So I would love it if Travis Hunter went and he played 2 ways in the NFL, but do I think so? Probably not. I bet they let him get some reps if they really want to, but that should be interesting to see. I'm tired of all this quarterback rhetoric where they're always going to be the number 1. I mean, I get why the number 1 pick is a quarterback, but the Ashton Jeanty disrespect is just, it's crazy. I mean, a lot of ball knowers say he should be the number 1 for Heisman, which I really agree. I mean, what he's doing is insane. I'll read you off what he's done so far. Jesus Christ. They've played 9 games, and they're about to play again in about 30 minutes from now. This is Saturday afternoon, 5:30 Central Time. In 9 games so far, Ashton Jeanty has 224 carries, 1,734 yards, 23 touchdowns, and he's averaging 7.7 yards a carry. That is insane. I don't understand how anyone has anyone else at the number 1 for the Heisman. He's on a Boise State team that is on fire. Top-ranked team, and then one of the top, they're a ranked team in the nation. How do you not have that as the number 1? Just because Colorado has all this hype and everything, Travis Hunter, dog, don't ever discredit what he does. Jeanty's the number 1 guy. Ashton Jeanty is a future Dallas Cowboy as well, because I want him to be a Cowboy so bad. I'll buy that jersey right off the bat. I like Rico Dowdle, but Jeanty, instant impact. I mean, this guy's like 5'9", 215. Put on a little bit weight. That's like the same damn size as Maurice Jones-Drew. You gotta love that. He's a dog, so we'll have to see. I'm sure some people are gonna be like, he's undersized. You're a running back. As long as you're a bowling ball and you got weight on you and you're lower than everyone else, you'll be just fine. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents when it comes to that. We're not doing bad. We're 15 minutes in, fellas. My plan is to go about 30 to 45 minutes for something like this. I wanted to cover just kind of some NFL standings and some things that really stick out to me. The Chiefs are 9-0. Of course, they block a game-winning field goal attempt, and then they hold on and win. And what actually really gets me going when it comes to the Chiefs is they're a good team. Some teams know how to play exactly to keep a game tight and close and be able to edge out those close victories. Because Andy Reid, dog of a coach. And now you have Mahomes, one of the best. He's going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks of all time when it's all said and done. He already has 3 rings, multiple MVPs. He's just a good player. I mean, Travis Kelce, they were struggling early on with the offense. And now they got Hopkins, who's their number 1 option. On the receiving core, that really spaces out that offense and makes him even better. Kareem Hunt turning back into what he was before he booted that girl for calling her the N-word. But Kareem Hunt, that offense is exciting. I'm just really tired of all these people who are like, the refs bail out the Chiefs, they save him. One thing I always notice when it comes to these very good teams, even with Tom Brady, those guys like Brady, Mahomes, they know how to win games. They know exactly the plays they need to throw. They look for penalties in the secondary and they attack it to get the ref's eyes attention on it. Sure, maybe sometimes they get an errant flag that's kind of bullshit, but every team does. But no one's going to cry if the Jacksonville Jaguars get one of those flags and win a game, like if it happens to Mahomes. There's always someone complaining about it when it comes to Patrick Mahomes, and I just don't understand it. I do, because I used to be a Brady hater, then I understood his greatness and his excellence, and then it comes down to, you hate the guys who win all the time. But you love to root for the underdogs, those terrible teams that go and upset people. It's just how human psychology goes. The David and the Goliath. But Patrick Mahomes, starting off 9-0, I saw a thing where they were ranking all the quarterbacks. They're putting Lamar 1, Mahomes 2. I think that's ridiculous. Mahomes is always going to be number 1. Lamar's a great player. Like, don't get me wrong. He's not better than Patrick Mahomes. If he's better than Patrick Mahomes, like, Lamar's had great teams, and he has no rings. Patrick Mahomes has had some interesting teams, and he has 3 rings. It's not even a comparison. I don't care about the stats. You're winning games. Patrick Mahomes wins games. He's the best player in all of football. Lamar Jackson is not better than Patrick Mahomes. Okay, cool. He's going to get the MVP, Lamar. Put up more stats. But guess who's going to get a ring when it's all said and done? There's going to be a ring right here because he already has 1, 2, 3, and he's going to get it right here. He's going to get his 4th ring. The refs aren't the reason for their success. They're just that good. They're so well coached. Patrick Mahomes is willing to take pay cuts so they could actually fill out holes in the roster and build a solid competitive team year in and year out. That guy's a winner. He just wants to win. That's why they win. So this nonsense where the refs bail them out every time, just stop fucking crying about it. You look like a little bitch when you go in a comment and you're like, oh, they're glazing Mahomes. Like, shut up. It's one of the most annoying things I see. Because some people think their opinions matter so much that they go and comment on everything like it really matters. I mean, maybe it's a little hypocritical because I'm sitting here speaking my mind on a podcast, but in the end, I don't give a shit what any of you think. Like, it's just my mind, you know? No disrespect to anyone here. I love all of you who watch. You guys are the backbone of everything that we do. But the way I'm wired is I don't care what other people think. I say what I want to say. And I'm telling you, Patrick Mahomes is the best football player on the planet because he knows how to lead you to wins. But man, that game is going to be exciting. We got... One moment. Tomorrow, I don't get how this is not a Sunday night football or Monday night football game, or even Thursday night. The Chiefs and Bills, Josh Allen and Mahomes, I think they're more competitive, those two, than Lamar and Mahomes are, just because Josh Allen has gotten to some very tight games with them. I mean, that was one of the best games I've ever watched in my life. Was when Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen went at it in the AFC Championship. Or I don't know if it's the AFC Championship. It was later in there. But the whole 13-second thing with Tyreek Hill, incredible. My roommate in college, he was a Bills fan. And a funny story, actually. So that game with the whole 13-second shebang, my roommate, big Bills fan. It's me, another roommate, myself, and a few other people were sitting there. And we're watching. Like, we're all cheering for the Bills. We're not going to, like, root against our friend's team if we have no interest in it. You know what I mean? You always do that. And we have a friend come in who doesn't give a fuck about football. He is a bad luck charm. For context, before I tell you what happens here, there was a White Sox game where we're up by 4. He comes outside. Josh Naylor hits a grand slam in the 9th, ties it. Goes back in, we take the lead. He comes back on later on. He's like, is the game almost done? Josh Naylor hits a 3-run homer that ends up having the Guardians win. And I'm like, you are never coming to my house again when it comes to sports. And when I tell you he's cursed, if it's a one-off thing, so be it. But this wasn't. Because that night of the Bills game, as we all know, the Bills had a lead and it looked like it was over. But with Tyreek Hill, Mahomes, and Kelsey back in that era, oh my goodness. It wasn't. He's like, oh, this game's almost over. It's time to go to the bar. And everyone's and the kid who's the Bills fan looks at me. He's like, shut the fuck up. And we're laughing because it's funny. And like, the Bills are going to win. Ha ha ha. But like, he had a feeling. That's where that shut the fuck up came from the soul. And the whole thing happened. He's like, fuck. They go to overtime. They lose. He starts freaking the fuck out. We had 4 holes in our wall. We ended up not going to the bar because the vibes were killed right then and there. Me and my other roommate went to our rooms, and all we heard was him running around, blackout drunk, being like, where are my cigarettes? Yeah, so very interesting. And he put some signs up the next day over all the holes, done and over with. It was pretty funny, but I know how dangerous that Patrick Mahomes can be. But that Josh Allen-Mahomes game, that overtime one where Mahomes won, unbelievable. I truly do believe this, though. I truly believe if the overtime rules were changed like it was for the playoffs, like how they will be now, because that whole rule where both teams will have a chance to score a touchdown in the playoffs and overtime is because of that game. If Josh Allen had a chance to get that ball first, the Bills would have won that game. Or if they had a chance to get that ball after Mahomes, they at least would have scored a touchdown. Because Josh Allen was playing out of his mind that postseason. That was the same one where they played the Patriots like a week or two before and whatever. And they scored every single possession. It was unbelievable. And we had a parlay where we almost won $1,000, and all we needed was one Patriots sack on Josh Allen. They didn't even get that. And then, so it's interesting. I think that's definitely going to be the game of the week. I don't think the Bills win. I think Mahomes is going to stay undefeated, take them to 10-0. But I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. I think it's going to be a one-possession game. Because lo and behold, every Chiefs game somehow is a one-possession game. They know how to win. They know how to manage the clock. I got the Chiefs in that one. Next up, we're going to talk about the Eagles and the Commanders. It looks right now like one of the best offseason moves was getting Saquon Barkley to the Eagles. Very reminiscent of getting McCaffrey from the Panthers to the Niners, because all of a sudden McCaffrey went there from the Panthers to the Niners and all the injuries were gone. I mean, obviously he had what's been going on, but he'll be fine. And now with Barkley, he was injured and hurt all the time. Now he has a good line, he has a good team, a good scheme, and that guy's just a dog. I just want to talk about kind of what he put up statistically. Jaden Daniels is still good. The Eagles are just on a roll right now. So I do have to apologize for calling the Eagles mid. That's just me being a Cowboys fan and a hater. Even though Jalen Hurts didn't throw a single touchdown pass, but of course he had a touchdown run. He always does every week. Saquon Barkley, 26 carries, 146 yards, 5.6 a carry, and 2 touchdowns. I think that's like the third time this season he had over 100 and 2 touchdowns. He's good. He really should be in the running for Offensive Player of the Year. Who knows, even MVP, but whatever. Quarterbacks are going to be the ones who get the MVP every year. It's kind of annoying at this point. I hate how the quarterback is just automatically the MVP. Like, I want to, like, Saquon Barkley, what he's doing for this team is he's taking so much pressure. Like, the previous years when it came to the Philadelphia Eagles, they were good, don't get me wrong. But they never had that intensely, like, scary run game like they do now. So if you really wanted to key in on, spying on Hurts a little bit and then just kind of watching the receiver core, you could shut them down. But now with Saquon Barkley, it adds such another dimension to that team that you can't even really stop it. I mean, that's why they're, 8-2 now? They're 8-2. I mean, the Commanders are 7-4. But Saquon Barkley scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth. He single-handedly took over that game and got him the win. So, Saquon Barkley, look out for him to be in the running and potentially the winner of Offensive Player of the Year. But not only that, he is the best offseason signing by far, Saquon Barkley. No, actually, I take that. It can't be by far when you got Derrick Henry out there. But, I mean, it's the season of the running backs. I want to see some running backs get some love. I want to see Derrick Henry or even Saquon Barkley be in the running for MVP. That would be awesome. But they're going to give it to Lamar just because he can throw the ball and run, and he's a quarterback. Just, come on, show me a running back one time. That'll never happen. Why is it? Okay, fellas, what do we got next? We'll go over just some predictions that I have. Raiders and Dolphins. I mean, it's going to be a snooze fest. I don't even really care. I expect the Dolphins to win just because they have Tua back. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that because not an exciting game. Another game with very minimal implications is the Browns and the Saints. I expect the Saints to win that one. Alvin Kamara is sneakily having one of the better seasons. So, oh shit! I didn't even see this. I clicked on it, and the top headline here, guys, is the Browns elevate Kadarius Toney for Sunday's game versus Saints. So actually, I got to switch my projection. Apparently, the Browns are going to win because they have Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney and Jameis Winston might be the deadliest duo in all of sports. All of football. I mean, it's just kind of funny that he's even there. So, something I want to cover is because just how shitty their record is. Alvin Kamara is putting together quite a year. And I think that he could even be in the conversation. But that's the thing. I don't know if you could be in the conversation for OPOY, Offensive Player of the Year, if your team is, 3-7. But we can't discredit what Alvin Kamara has been doing because he's a fantasy god, but he's also putting up a lot of yards. I'll just give you this right here. So, Alvin Kamara, he's 167 carries, 715 yards, 4.3 a carry, which is good in the NFL, 6 touchdowns. And surprisingly, 24 yards is his longest carry with all those stats, but beyond the point. Besides that, he has 51 catches, 421 yards, 8.3 yards a catch, 1 receiving touchdown somehow, and 57 is his longest, which, I mean, the longest doesn't matter. It's just pretty interesting to check out. So he's having a good season. If they honestly weren't that plagued with injuries, the Saints, they'd be in a lot better of a position right now. It's just hard when half your team goes on the injured reserve, out for the year. Olave, he's turning into Tua with all the concussions he's getting. Rashid Shaheed, after being a dog in the beginning of the year, gets hurt. Missing Derek Carr for some games didn't really help you. The Saints are really better than their 3-7 record. I expect them to move to 4-7. I just don't think the Browns can keep up. And I know the Browns beat the Ravens, but a division game is very, very different. You prepare for those. You see them multiple times. You got to give them different looks. So can't really go and dwell on that one too much. The Colts and the Jets. Anthony Richardson is now going to be the starter for the rest of the year after the whole Flacco experiment didn't work. I mean, I like it, but I don't. I think Richardson, like I said, has a lot of potential. We like Richardson here, but you never really know. Against the Jets, 3-7, they're just two disappointing teams going. If I were to pick a team, honestly, here's what we're going to do, because I don't really know who I can't really switch to one side or another. So what we're going to do is we're going to do heads or Colts, tails or Jets. Hey Siri, flip a coin.
It's heads.
All right, it is heads. There is my projection. So it'll be quite the snooze fest, but actually not. When it comes to bad teams playing, you don't know if it's. My point being is two pretty irrelevant teams. What if the Colts win 5-6? You could work on that. Jets, if they win 4-7, we'll see. I'm not a great game. I'm not even that excited to talk about it. The Vikings and the Titans. Sam Darnold's coming off a few bad games. We saw how he was most of the year. He's fine. Quarterbacks have bad stretches. They'll figure it out. I got the Vikings in that one. Vikings will remain victorious. The Packers and the Bears. Now that's an interesting one. It's a very interesting one here. The Green Bay Packers are a good team. They've been playing quite well all year. And then we got the Bears, who are a lot better than what they are. They've just been coached so poorly that they really have been struggling a lot here, and they just fired Shane Waldron. So, you know what? I gotta stick here to the solo cast. I was about to call JVD, see what he had to say, but when it comes to the Bears, they're better than 4-5. They just ran a terrible offensive scheme. I remember that video where Shane Waldron, his hands were shaking as he's calling the play. You can't have a guy like that. You gotta be cool, calm, and collected, brother. I'm hoping they figure it out. They get it going. Caleb Williams is very talented. You can't ruin that guy. For everyone saying the Bears ruined Justin Fields, Justin Fields' ceiling was never that high. I don't think he was skilled enough to be a good thrower in the NFL consistently. Yeah, he can get you like 170 yards a game maybe, but that's not sustainable against defenses. And sure, he could run. I mean, running quarterback is just what's sexy to everyone apparently, but Caleb Williams has what it takes to be the next Patrick Mahomes in my opinion. And I very strongly think that. Caleb Williams is a dog. He's got all the tools in the shed. I think he's going to really make a name for himself in the NFL. I'm going to go ahead and say the Bears win this one. It's the Bears-Packers, so these teams hate each other. The Bears are going to step up. New coach. They've been complaining about the coaching staff for so long. This is their time to show out and prove that it was the OC and not Caleb Williams or anyone else. I think the Bears are going to go ahead and beat the Green Bay Packers. And, we'll go ahead and we'll talk about it next week during the episode when the Bears beat the Packers. But Packers are still a good team. I'm not saying they're not. I just think the Bears' defense is very good. The offense is a lot better than they are. You know, they haven't scored a touchdown in offense in, 2 games now? It's not going to be 3 games. It's just not. The Bears are going to come out victorious. That's my prediction there. Jaguars and Lions. The Lions are the one team where if they play a shitty team, they have no mercy and they keep the starters in. I watched what they did to the Cowboys, but the problem with that is you can pay for it. Aiden Hutchinson's out for the year because they let him play some garbage time snaps to try to sack Dak Prescott. Not saying it's their fault. Freak injury, obviously, but the Lions are the one team that will legitimately 50-bomb a team if you give them the opportunity. So I got the Lions for this one. I don't even really need to explain why. The Lions might be the best team in football. And the funny thing to me is they just use trick plays when it comes to all these other teams that are bad. They're like giving it to offensive linemen. They're flipping it around, doing this. That brings me to another point, actually. I was talking to my friend on Xbox, and he's saying he wished the Bears hired Cliff Kingsbury. And, you know, I get that. I don't think he's a good head coach, Kingsbury, but I think he's a phenomenal OC. And the one thing I thought of is I wish more coaches would stick around on their teams. Like Ben Johnson for the Detroit Lions, awesome guy. He had a chance to go somewhere else, and he decided to stay with the Lions because they almost made it to the Super Bowl. You know, he wants to stick around and finish the job, and that's very, very respectable, especially for a coaching, someone on the coaching staff. Because with people on coaching staff, I think there's people that have certain roles that not everyone understands. Like, some guys are good defensive coordinators, but not a head coach or OC. Some good OCs, nothing else. Or some guys just a head coach. So I'm glad Ben Johnson stuck around with the Lions. The Lions are very, very good. If the Chiefs didn't exist, the Lions might be the best team in football. And hell, I think the Lions could beat the Chiefs, to be honest with you. I think Dan Campbell learned some lessons after last year against the Niners. Rams and Patriots. I'm going to go the Rams here. The Rams are a much better team. They're very well coached. They don't lose games against us inferior teams for the most part. So, I mean, I'd be surprised if the Rams didn't win. One of the games of the week also is going to be the Ravens and the Steelers. I really, really think the Steelers are better than the Ravens. And one of 2 reasons. One, when it comes to those division games, Mike Tomlin, phenomenal coach, he knows how to handle situations against division rivals. They've seen Lamar, they know how to handle a guy like that. Phenomenal defense. Offense is rejuvenated ever since they put Russell Wilson out there. You could see George Pickens hating his life when Justin Fields was quarterback because that guy doesn't give him the ball. He can barely get the ball out. He just wants to run and throw a little. Justin Fields is not a good throwing quarterback. Russell Wilson is a dog. And they've had some gritty wins. Russell Wilson looks to be a great quarterback on there. We saw how good Russell Wilson was in Denver, and they threw him out like garbage, but that team he's on was just overall garbage. But Russell Wilson is going to lead the Steelers to the playoffs. The Steelers are a top 5 team in football. Go argue with the wall. I mean, they're 7-2. They're playing awesome this year. Russell Wilson showed he really is the answer for the Steelers. They haven't had a quarterback this good since Ben Roethlisberger. So, I mean, I'm thinking the Steelers win here. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. I think it'll be a close game. But I think the Steelers are better than the Ravens. And when it comes to these division games, like, you know how to play Lamar when it's in your division. You know how to deal with the Ravens when it's in the division. So, I got the Steelers here. Next up, we got the Seahawks and 49ers. I know that McCaffrey's back, but I really do think the Seahawks win this one. Again, it's a division game. It just smells like upset, even though they are in San Fran. The Seahawks are going to win this one, and it'll be close, but the Seahawks will beat the San Francisco 49ers. I just don't think the Niners' offense is as explosive as it was, after losing Ayuk, especially having some injuries, not guys 100%. It's a good bounce back game for Seattle. I expect the Seattle Seahawks to beat the 49ers. It's a division game, so anything could really happen. It's very hard to predict a division rival game. Falcons and the Broncos. 5-5 and 6-4. I got the Falcons. I think the Falcons are just a better team. Kirk Cousins in that offense is explosive. I'm going to take the Falcons. Chiefs, Bills, I went over that. Bengals, Chargers. Jamar Chase is right now statistically the best receiver in football. Unbelievable. He's better than his 2 games against the Ravens. He has better stats in those than most guys have all year. I think the Bengals edge out the Chargers here. I think it could be kind of close. So we'll have to see how that goes. Then we got the Texans and the Cowboys. Man, I don't know. The Texans have been playing like butt lately. 6-4, 3-6 Cowboys. Monday Night Football. I don't even really want to talk about it. The Cowboys are just so injured. It's a chalk season. It's Jover. I expect the Texans to win. I would love the Cowboys to win. That'd be so cool and great and awesome, but it's just not going to happen. 41 minutes on the solo cast so far. Blue, knock it off. Yeah, those are some predictions I got here for this week. Surprised I went 40 minutes so far. Pretty good. We'll just do a little NFL standings check right here. It's so crazy, the AFC East to me. Bills 8-2, and then there's 3 3-win teams. A lot of teams are performing below expectations. I mean, like the Dolphins, 3-6. I mean, if Tua wasn't hurt most of the year, wouldn't even be a thing. Bengals 4-6 is crazy to me. Jaguars 2-8. Like, I don't get that one. Cowboys 3-6, obviously underperforming, terrible. Niners at 5-4 is an underperformance, but I mean that's injury. Can't even get mad. Saints 3-7. Let's look up trending sports. Maybe I got something to talk about here. But 40 minutes could be quite sufficient when it comes to one game. God, I hate seeing all these. I hate seeing all of these fucking Jake Paul. Who are they going to fight next? Who cares? Like, honestly, who cares? Fight someone who's a pro. I will say, it is pretty hard to do a solo cast, just yap for 45 minutes, but I was thinking of ripping one of these, but I might wait until I hop on Black Ops 6 later. Black Ops 6 is a ton of fun this year. I like it, I like the movement. Zombies is, a lot of people are hating on it, but I think it's been pretty good so far. I actually have enjoyed myself on this. Multiplayer is good. I'm just a dog when it comes to Call of Duty. I'll be ripping kids. KD almost 2. It's built like that. But you should expect greatness. Why would you not? So if anyone ever wants to play, hop on some Black Ops 6. I'd be more than happy to run a search and destroy with some fellas and talk shit on game chat. That'd be great. But I'm gonna mess around here with Vandry. Hang on. All right, I'm finishing up. I'm 45 minutes in. I'm calling it quits. Do we do the DAP on FaceTime?
Stop. Hold on. What?
Do-
Let me hear. No, let me just listen. Let me just listen.
Can you hear me?
What's going on?
I'm saying I'm 45 minutes in. I'm wrapping up the cast. I'm saying, do you want to do a DAP? How do we do this?
Okay. How did it go?
It's still going right now.
Ask me a question or something.
I'm 45 minutes. I covered everything. I was gonna say, do you want to do a quick DAP? Just a little
That's fine.
for the camera. Hang on, fellas.
All right.
Here we are. Ready? All right. Put it
Count
up.
it down.
Huh?
Count it down.
3, 2, 1. Oh, that was perfect. All right.
Money.
All right. Say what you want to say to them. This is going on air.
I'm sorry I couldn't be there for the loyal supporters of the Banter podcast. However, I am out here at Iowa State enjoying a lovely Miller Lite, ready to go into the game. But I'll be back next week. Don't you worry.
What is your prediction for the game here?
I predict Iowa State to come out on top and take a dub
Against who?
against the Cincinnati Bearcats.
Final score prediction.
Final score prediction, I'm going to say 28-17 Cyclones.
Okay, you heard it here first. Got the last of the old styles.
Here's to the old style. I've got a nice Miller Lite in my hand. Have a great night, everybody.
All right, you enjoy the game. The cast is over.
Buddy.
All right, fellas. That concludes another exciting episode of Behind the Banter. We'll see you next week, but this time it'll be a two-man show.